Right. What's up, man? How you doing these days?
Last episode, welcome back. I'm doing all right, man. A little rusty from vacation. Went to
Vacation
Ecuador.
rusty that is the hardest to get back. It's like never do I not want a job more than when I come back from vacation. It's just like, man, why am I?
Exactly.
It's harder to get
Exactly.
back in the swing of things. It's harder to like get in the rat race again, like coming back from vacation is like the hardest time. But then once you get over that initial kind of like, it's not so bad, I guess.
I like short trips. I've always solo traveled, so I like
Yeah.
short, like 4-day trips. I had a little system. I was out for 10 days this time around, and it creeped on me like day 7, 8, 9. Like, you know what? What the fuck do I have a job? Like, let me just
Yeah.
vacation for the rest of my life. Like, you know what? I've never had that thought in my life before. I've always been like, all right, this has been a nice break. Time to get back to work. This one was
Yeah.
very like, what the hell are we doing here? Like,
I think I think the last time I did that long vacation was when we went to Singapore and Bali.
yeah.
And that was hard to get back. Like going from like the beaches of Bali, like being like, man, this time and your phone does a great job of being like, hey, are you having a bad day? Hey, well, this time last week you were having a great day. Like you were
Yeah,
drunk
now
on
going
somewhere.
coming back to America and all the Trump stuff, I'm like, man, this is the trenches, man. This shit.
Oh,
we
bro.
gonna-
I think you missed the deepest of the trenches though. Like I saw this one meme, it was like 0 days without a tariff war flare up, and it was like a zero replacing a zero. I was like, that's
Yeah.
so true. But you left
It's
at the good
it's
part, like right when it was getting pretty popping. Like when you left, the market wasn't as horrible as it
the
is
straight
now.
dips.
But the thing is, like, if you look at so the average bear market correction, so like correction territory is 10% from the recent like level, right? And we're actually at 10%. So we're in correction territory, but bear market is 20%. So we're only halfway to where if we're saying this is a bear market is gonna go. But when you look at like the valuation, so like how expensive companies are, shit was crazy, dude. Like there was no reason for things to be like that. So this is like I get the narrative of Trump, and I don't think it's helpful. Like that was helpful to the overall market, but at the same time, like shit had to come down to be more in line with reality. And there's still, if we're saying that a bear market is 20%, we're at 10%. That still leaves 10%, only halfway there, baby. And when you look at like the broader like the SPY, so the general like stock market index, like you see that the valuation multiples now at a 10% correction are at par value. So you're not overpaying like you were even a week ago. You're not underpaying compared to looking at the last 10 years or 5 years. But right there, so this is where you get value, for your money. So if you're a long-term investor, you're happy. If you're a short-term swing trader, you probably can't make sense of anything. I'm sitting on the sideline with majority cash, and I'm kind of just waiting, dude. Like, I was waiting for this. Like, this is my time. I was telling people, like, hey, man, it's cool, like running that Bitcoin shit and all that crazy stuff, but at some point, you gotta take your money and save it for another day. And I think we're seeing that.
Yeah.
So, but
Good
you
deal,
missed all
man.
that good shit. But you're at the good part now.
Yeah. No, we so what I'm hearing is we got 10% more headlines left to go.
Easily to that could happen, but this is the level that will tell like what if it but it's pretty important. If we lose, I think we're at like what 550 or something like that. If we lose that, it's gonna be some more headaches. But honestly, like it's a market, like you kind of need the good and the bad. Yeah, we're at 558 right now. So this level is super important. So if we go under this, it's going to be we have a good 10% drop easily. But it can also turn around at the 10% mark too, and kind of like stay the same, consolidate or go up. So I love it. This is fun stuff to me. Like I'm a
It
student of
was
the market, and this is stuff that I like to nerd out about. So it's fun.
it was dating shows for me, just all the drama of that. And then I forgot what the middle one is, but then all of a sudden now it's politics. I keep refreshing. I keep wanting to see what the latest headline is. This man's going crazy. There's always something getting turned upside down. It's fun. It's fun to watch.
It's a lot of fun, but it is more fun than when we had Joe. Like, I'm sorry, like I used to rock with Joe. That was my guy. I loved him eating the ice cream and shit. Like, I did he stay in office too long? Yeah, arguably you can argue either way, but like that, maybe we need to let our politicians go into the wild. Like all these. What's that? Man, I forgot
McConnell,
to like yeah, like we just gotta let them go. Like they did their job, they did their civic duty, they made their money and stuff, and they were
they
great
got us
for
to
the
this
world.
point. They
We
gotta
gotta
go.
sunset everybody. Let them go retire. Let that dude go to a beach in Nantucket and just eat ice cream and fall off bikes and shit on the sand.
Yeah,
Like let them live. We don't need to run them out there
yeah.
until they're 90 and 100 and stuff.
By the
And
way, the
those are
middle
dog years,
drama.
dude. When you're in
What
politics, those
happened?
are like dog years. Every like year is
Oh
7
yeah,
years. Like
the
those aren't city miles. Or those aren't country miles, it's city
the
miles.
big headlines right now are like these town halls all these individual representatives are having. Like no one's happy. They're getting yelled at for 3 hours they're there. Fun stuff.
It's a divisive world we're living in, but at the same time, like I think there's times of unity in this whole thing. I respect Canada as being like, fuck it, man. Hey, we're Canada. I don't know. I think it's because we're Americans, it's easy to like, look down upon, but you know what I'm talking about with Canada. But they're kind of like nutting up, bro. They're like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're not backing down.
51st state, like that's a slap in the face.
One dude
Call a
was
whole
like,
ass
hey, I'm gonna
country
turn off
51st.
your power. And I was like, oh shit. We're in
Yeah.
Texas, man.
Don't forget about that shit.
Yeah, we're in Texas. Our energy system is, we
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah.
to turn off your power. I thought
That's
that
a
was a
threat.
bold
That's a
move.
threat.
Even to say that, I was like, bro, this guy is bucking up to us. What are we gonna do? We can't invade Canada. I mean, we could, but they already have freedom. They don't
Yeah.
need more freedom.
Right. Nah. So much drama. Reminds me of Jake and Kendrick. Fun times. Fun
That
times.
that seemed like forever ago.
It's been
It's
a
it's a
great
fun time
history
we're
of beef
living in,
these
though.
last few years.
This version of the Matrix or the simulation,
Yeah.
is a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying it because you do have to take like the joy in with the pain, and just kind of laugh at it and find things.
Yeah.
It's serious business, but at the same time, there's areas of like fun and levity in it as well, and hopefully at the end of this, we get some more unity. I do feel like even though I do feel like the country's been less divisive recently because I think both sides are just like, just trying to live right now.
We're all watching this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so how's it been going with school, by the way?
Oh man, yeah, that's spring break right now. Going good,
Okay.
about halfway done with the semester. I'm really enjoying it, man. I'm really enjoying I think that it's doing two things. It's helping me be more confident in public because public speaking for me is still something that like I'm just
Which
like
is wild.
don't like to do it.
I think you're an
And doing
amazing
it virtually
speaker.
is one thing, but doing it in
Yeah.
person is another.
Sure.
But it's doing
What do I do with my hands is
yeah,
the
no,
question.
like, things like that. But it's doing really good. It's actually forcing me to get really, really deep into, which is what I want, which was a good side effect of teaching a specific subject, is forcing me to get really good, not really good, but really deep on subjects. And there's this thing, I'll send it to you. You might be interested. I used ChatGPT to like do it's called an Enneagram test, and it basically has there's 9 different archetypes of a person, and like, the
Okay.
test will help you do like your top one, and then you have like wings, or they're like supplementary to your overall thing. And my top thing was like deep research and telling a story.
Mm.
And it's interesting, like you can also be, oh, cool, what kind of jobs would align with that? So I went down a deep rabbit hole with that, but it was fun to kind of see kind of like what I evaluate. And so I did it 2 ways. Like you have to grade yourself on different criteria. And then I asked it to grade myself from my social medias. I was like, okay, you grade me, on this. And it was pretty interesting how like my answers and the answers to the test were kind of close. They weren't necessarily on track to 100%, but they were like either the same answer or one plus or minus, which I thought was kind of fun.
Wow.
But it was like, hey, like you love research and you love talking, you love stories, and you love like small team collaborations and like being able to move fast and do things. And I think that that's exactly what doing this with you is, doing teaching, doing my current job, like they're all kind of entwined with that. So it's kind of fun to see like I've kind of built what I like to do into the things that I get paid to do. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't always
Mm.
that way. It was a struggle to find that, but now that I finally understood myself, and I think a lot of it was our MBA program really helped me kind of identify what I loved and what I didn't love. And so like slowly kind of building my life to do more of the things that I love. And there's jobs are jobs, right? There's going to be things you don't like, but if you can do, half of your day doing things you like versus things you don't like, I think that's a good flip. Because for me, it was like 80% of my day was like doing things I hated, and 20% of a week was doing things I like. So now it's kind of more 50-50, and hopefully I can kind of keep that balance going to the better for me.
Nice. Yeah. No,
Yeah, what about you,
that's
man?
the
How's
whole
it
point of
going? I
life,
know
man.
it's hard to come back from a 2-week break, but
It was. It
back.
was a rough week, man. I went. I didn't go straight into work like Jess did. She worked Monday. I had the day off Monday. I needed it because I'm going through some car troubles. Shout out to Ford. And
I,
yeah, a little known fact, by the way, Ford tried to charge me like about $4,000 for repair. And so I reached out to this is a little trick I do. I reach out to when I do my shopping, like I reach out to a bunch of different locations that are like the same place, like a bunch of Ford dealerships.
mm,
And one of them kind of cracked and said, "Hey, have you tried like the Ford Assistance Hotline?" It's a thing that corporate does to like just kind of keep people happy. I called in, and they offered me like off the bat like a 40% discount on the repair.
ooh,
Like no strings attached, just for calling. So, I mean, how many times do people just feel pressure to buy something because, it's for the car, for the house, whatever, and don't save that money. So I always tell Jess, I told my little sister, I was just like, I always shop like I'm broke, no matter what, just because,
yeah.
I mean, that's all free money you can do whatever you want with.
Yeah, that's
Two
awesome.
thousand
That's
dollars I don't
awesome.
have to spend is like 2,000 bucks I can do. That's a trip. I can literally go do something else with that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love shopping broke. I think broke, I shop broke. I think it definitely is a mindset that you get and keep, and you're just like, man, I'm just gonna. But
Yeah.
I probably would have cracked before the 40%, but man, that's a good one though. I like that. Like because you're right, for the
Yeah.
things like for the car, for the house, those are things you kind of feel like all right,
It's
like
obligated.
that's needed, especially a car.
Yeah.
Oh man, I fucking hate car problems. Like I've had because I buy used cars. I've never once bought a new car
Oh,
in my
beautiful.
life. I even had to learn to drive manual because I was like, this car is way cheaper if it's a manual. I was fucking leaving that dealership it's like
Oh, you would
whenever
love
I just sent
Ecuador.
$10,000 or whatever it was, but
Yeah.
so even that was old, like a used car. So I actually toyed with buying new, and I was like, oh man, that hurts. Like
Yeah, no, it sucks to have a new car and think you're avoiding all these, costly repairs, and then you get a costly
you
repair.
got the Bronco,
So,
right?
yeah.
You need to just upgrade to the Raptor Bronco. I saw one of those in the wild the other day, a Bronco Raptor. That thing is fucking sexy,
I just need
dude.
to upgrade to an actual horse and just get a
Yeah,
real
just get a
Bronco. Fuck
gelding,
it. Never break down. Yeah.
get a
Old
Clydesdale, get one
West.
of those one from the beer commercials for Christmas or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. One of those, what are they called? Kleinstein or
I think
Kleinsteins or
I've
big
I've
boys.
seen
The
like
guys with the
seven horses
boots.
in real life like
The guys
this.
with the boots.
Yeah. You would
Okay,
think
so
living in
let's
Texas, we got horses everywhere, but it's not the case.
you would think, right? No, that's especially not on the blue sides.
Yeah.
Let's reflect on our experiences. This is the last episode of this season. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming up. This seems like we got ideas for days. So
Yeah.
this podcast can go on indefinitely. I was kind of thinking too, as like a joke, not joke, with everything going on in the news. Like it'd be cool to be a consultant group who specializes in Doge, type opportunities for your business. Like we'll come in and we'll slash shit, like just straight up like lay people off. Like you just tell me who, we'll say they're unnecessary.
We'll
Gone.
go fire him for you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just like don't hide it. Just be Doge about it. I think that'd be fun. Like Doge client services kind of come in, clean house.
Do you have,
Um,
just wondering, do you have the paid version of ChatGPT or do you use the free version?
no, free,
Free
freebie,
version. Do you have
fire.
any paid version of
I don't use any paid version of anything.
mm.
I mean Spotify is
Yeah,
the
well,
only one.
Spotify's a good one. Okay, no,
I
just
love my
wondering,
music.
just wondering. I was gonna see this Enneagram test. I think that'd be an interesting one. But yeah, no, I mean, I think for the season for season one, I think we learned a lot. I think that I think I definitely have learned a lot. And this was
Oh
like a
yeah.
fun. I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with this. Even just connecting with you, weekly or bi-weekly, talking through things and seeing how we both kind of solve problems in different ways. I think that it was a lot of fun, kind of just like walk. I think you did an amazing job at the beginning of like putting together a great kind of like format, thinking through it, but also like as we were going through the format and realizing, oh, maybe like as we're building the show or the show series, you were also very quick to be like, okay, cool, like it doesn't have to be that way, but like if there's a different way to do it, like in terms of like the show format, that was like we could do, which I really enjoyed that part where I felt like, we did a good job, or you did a good job of setting it up, but also being flexible with like, okay, cool, like I could see of maybe changing an episode around. I think there was one where like we did like exit structure and financials, and I think we flipped that one around, just kind of like as we were talking about the show, and I thought that it showed like a lot of like it was just fun to kind of do that whole process with you and still being like it felt like jazz. Like we're just scatting a little bit, like we were just going through it.
Exactly.
I think right now we have a good format, you know, and to see if it can translate also to a season two, or to realize like to figure out what our season two wants to be would be fun. I'm telling you, man, our idea that we've had, I thought more and more about it over the past couple weeks of like what we
It's
went through, or
exciting.
not what we went through, but what we kind of like talked about for a season two. And I'm kind of digging it, man. Like
Yeah.
I like the perspective you're bringing for like even like a technology play on it. And I was just like, man, like that's like a fun thing because in this process, you know, I've thought about s- and so in this process, I've thought about like in a couple ways, but it's like thinking about like what would like I want to do, what would you want to do, and like being like excited about that idea, you know. So I'm interested to kind of like hear your thoughts about that and you know how you thought the season went and what you're looking forward to in a season two, you know.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head with the whole idea of like flexibility. I think that's what makes us a great team. Like, there's every team has a secret sauce. I think our secret sauce is our flexibility.
Sure.
I think number one elephant in the room has been like scheduling. I know I've had to cancel a lot of dates last minute or meetings last
Same for
minute.
me. Yeah.
Um, and so it's a testament to the friendship and the team to still be at this point where we finished. We said we're
Done.
a lot of other teams could have been like, okay, well, we're flaking, and it's be completely done, and like just wrap it up. And like, yeah, we had a half a podcast, like yeah, who would have known? But no, we kept at it. We kept pushing it, and we got it
Chipping
done.
works.
And the motto has been, done not perfect, and I think that's a good motto for day one of anything, week one of anything, season one of anything. So this definitely proves like proof of concept. We can do something, you know. Now that we're all excited for this next idea, we know like in our back pocket, okay, we could do stuff. And I think at work, it kind of coincides with what you're talking about, like what world do I want? What kind of skills do I want? Because at work, I've been mostly management, not too hands-on. I would say like 2% hands-on if anything.
Mm,
But I just got like my license in like let's just call it like a forklift type of
mm.
machine. And so once I got my license on it, I've been out on the floor just doing work all day. And like I
Nice.
just get it's just a different view from the floor and my associates seeing me just like alongside. And so I know when we're talking about kind of the tech play on this next project or, kind
Mm,
of like all this and that, I'm like, you know what? I want to be in the weeds. Like it's cool to be uh kind of in a management type role where you're kind of overseeing stuff and making sure the program runs smooth, so to speak. But there's nothing like, getting your hands dirty and being next to the people who are pushing the thing that you're trying to be on. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go and beef up the skills. Everything's a learning process, but like we've learned here, like episode one might have sucked. Episode 10, we got a different vibe. We're definitely better than episode one. Season two will be amazing. Season 10 will be even better than that. So I think as far as like the glows of the project, just staying committed to actually finishing was amazing.
yeah.
And it kind of cemented our team culture of just like, hey, look, we're gonna get it done. Might not be pretty, but we're gonna get it done. And at the end of the day, we'll have bragging rights on that. Um, Let's see. One thing I learned a lot from you. But one thing I wrote here in my notes was just like you are a detail-oriented person. I wrote it down before you even told me about the thing you're talking about. Like you do deep dives on stuff, where I do my light research of like maybe the first three links that I think are credible. Like you've probably seen 10 or 15 different links. Like you've probably clicked in some stuff. You probably read some stuff, not just like the gist of it, like I do. Like you probably done the deep dive and working alongside you. Like I always say, when you work with somebody, coworker, partner, whoever, like you start kind of getting a few more of their skills, and I've definitely seen that through working with you. Like I'll be doing something, be like, you know what? Let me ride you this a little bit. Let me get a little deeper on this. Let me get one more fact. In honor of being around Roger. Can't come in like too unprepared. And then we said we were gonna do the scrappy, and we've been scrappy. I know apart from a few paid versions that you got, like our spend on this has been zero. So a
Zero.
fun first season. Like I think a few years ago, this technology with Spotify was not available, so we would have been paying to host or something like that, or paying the
Sure.
middleman to host us. But this has been a zero investment project for the most part. And then the feedback from the panel was amazing.
Yeah.
Some real obvious blind spots, which I corrected in the slides. But I mean, that's season one type of bumps right there. Like you slay some major bosses, and there's some like really small, stupid stuff that you miss, and we were victim to that. So. That's me on the positives. What do you have on the positives? What are you thinking?
Yeah, positives. I do think that, kind of to echo kind of some of what you were saying, but maybe add something different was kind of like our way we approach the same problem. I really like one thing that I really got from you was the ability to and I've seen it because we worked together, at school and things like that, but your ability to kind of keep the positive outlook of things when I didn't necessarily see it. Like one of the like a great example that just comes to mind off the top was like talking about like our panel, like because I don't, not to say I don't have faith in people, but like it's hard to get like four people together on a early Saturday morning, right? So I was already kind of like almost in a defeatist view of that, like no one's gonna join, so then I was quick to like, hey, let's just fake it or something, You're like, no, no, I got this, and I was like, oh, like if you got it, you got it, and you definitely pulled together. Not just some people, but like really good, insightful, thoughtful, smart people on a what, 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
I never asked for anything, so I can call in those favors when I need them. I never asked for
Like
shit.
that, that's
That's
awesome, and I thought they were, my first time meeting them, I thought they were cool guys who just kind of like, were able to, and shout out to them, 'cause they were able to just get in there, look at a presentation, and then
first thing in the morning.
like start going, start scatting. And I was like, that's really cool, so I really like, I was already kind of in a defeatist mode or mindset of that, like no one's gonna join, we're not gonna be able to get anybody. You were like, no, I got this, and I was like, "Oh, like let's go with it." So I really enjoyed kind of like not just that outlook, but also that kind of scrappiness of being like, nah, I thought about it a little bit more, because really I had not like thought about it as much in terms of like, because the way I work sometimes it's like, oh, that's a tomorrow problem or that's a next week problem, and I
Right.
definitely had that happen to me where I was like, I knew it was coming up, and like I didn't prepare like asking people for it, and that's kind of like a limitation to me that I'm gonna try to get better at, of being like, oh, hey, in 2 weeks, can you do this, right? Because I'm kind of living day, hour, week at a time. So sometimes it's harder to plan out a 2 week thing. It's like, oh, that's next week, Roger's problem. But what I find is that that next week problem comes up pretty quick on you, so where it's like a tomorrow problem that's even bigger than
Yeah.
it was last week. So that was definitely one thing that I really enjoyed working with you and kind of learning, like just having that outlook and like looking forward thinking, and don't kind of get like the pessimist view. And I've seen that from you in general, like not having like like having a great. I feel like I'm a person that has a good attitude. I think you have a person that even have better attitude than me, which I enjoy working with that. And one thing, man, I really enjoyed in this time for the positives, like your and our ability to just kind of, like you said, kind of stick to it and keep going. I think that a lot of projects get started with like the best intentions, but then the operations or logistics or the timing or the life gets in the way of like, like just saying, okay, cool, I'm done. So that we like, even though we kind of like hit bumps in that, because life is gonna life, right? And I think we both added enough graciousness and like to each other to say, okay, cool, like, yeah, it doesn't work this week, so maybe we're gonna have to punt in week out. Like, I know we wanted to get these episodes out sooner, but life was gonna life, right? And we were still figuring out the operations and the scheduling and the flow of it. But I think we got a good template now that we can use for a season two and iterate as we go. The other thing I really enjoyed was I think that we did a really good job of are really doing I think we did a little bit of pre-work and it paid off in the shows. Like once kind of like in the maybe second or third episode when we started kind of just like, hey, let's do a quick call, on Tuesday to talk about it. Like that helped me at least kind of align what I knew we needed to or we wanted to talk about. And even though in the show maybe we didn't talk about it, at least being a little bit prepared for that allowed me to like think about things a little bit better for the show. So I really think that like having like that, just that little, hey, let's get and I think that was your idea, like, hey, let's just get a quick 15-minute call in, while you're driving home, and even that was enough to just be like, okay, cool, we're aligned for this episode. If it doesn't go this way, great, but at least we kind of like have a general outline.
Yeah, the optimism just comes from that Trump overconfidence of like I got this. No, but no, I knew who I had in the back pocket, on a rainy day, and those guys were super excited to be part of the panel, and they both said like, "Hey, I'm super down to do it again. That was really fun. Call me anytime." And I told them, "Hey, this is gonna be a season two,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
that's that's fun." And I think CTAS was to speak to the sticking to itness of it all. Like I think CTAS was a big metaphor for this season. Like we had an idea, we weren't sure of the blueprint, but we kind of had those nudges to keep going. Eventually got it done. And the feeling we're feeling right now of like pride of like, yeah, we can do something else now. Like we can move on. Like we know we can do stuff is something that we were hoping that customers or clients of the app would be able to get, the users of the app would get too from like completing the project, big or small. Um, and then yeah, like the big deal because we've tried this before with the original OP, like, and I guess the more people you add to the mix, the harder it gets to
It's
coordinate, or
tougher.
the harder it gets to have that patience of like, because instead of two people mixing the calendars, it's four people now kind of mixing the calendars, and then when you get everyone, you're like, we only got three out of four, now this person
Yeah,
is
it's
in the
not
message,
quorum.
two
Yeah.
out of four, so that was kind of the goal here to kind of have a smaller group, but more, I guess, streamlined, more direct, and more focused, and it still had its share of issues because, like you said, life is gonna life, and so I think the number one thing along the way was just that flexibility you talked about, and then patience with each other. Um, Nothing. We just kept going. We just kept going, and so I mean that's great. I mean with that mentality, with that mindset, we can finish anything. I mean, who knows when we'll finish? TBD. But I mean we'll finish anything. So that's great to know that I got that in a partner. And then yeah, the pre-work, that quick call, that I think that was a game changer. I think in my head I was kind of pretending like, all right, let's just pretend best case scenario, like this gets picked up by Netflix or some shit. Like, are we still just gonna wing it? Like, nah, we're gonna have show notes. We're gonna have to have show meetings. We're gonna have to do like dry runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so just who knows what that will look like in season two? Maybe it's like a whole hour meeting or something like that to like really kill it. Or who knows what the medium is? Might be Spotify, might be YouTube. We might switch it up. Might be all social media. Who knows? But yeah, with a little bit of when you're trying to go scrappy, when you have less resources, your planning needs to be even better.
Hmm.
So I think we got a good team on the planning side.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, I saw the hand go up. Was that
No, I
a
was just
glitch?
I was gonna agree with you. Yeah.
Okay, that was a high five. So right there, right
Yeah.
back at you. And then okay, the grows for my list of stuff that I felt like we could have done better on. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, really just sticking to scheduled days. I know like I canceled a lot, you canceled a lot. Um, And I mean, I think I'm mostly proud of that. And I wrote here, if we quit our jobs, we'd be on season two already.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
that's what I wrote. But I mean, and I'm thinking like, because like I just thought about like with OP, the original OP, like we had a set time, but when you have a set time, like things happen, and
Yeah.
so maybe kind of per week being like, all right, look, what works for you this week? Like I know
Yeah.
for sure I don't have anything Saturday, like having kind of a floating day, um, because then we can push forward a little faster and be at a better pace. But again, it depends on. If we're on YouTube, if we're recording everything, what's the style? But we could talk about that when we get to season two planning. That
I
that's
think that
my
makes sense.
that's
Kind
my
of like a
thing.
floating day and we plan it a little bit ahead of time and with the
Yeah,
graciousness of like, oh cool, like it was Thursday last week, but it was, but this week it's gonna have to be, Saturday or something like that, you know?
right. And I think it works in smaller groups because you can coordinate one on one. It's a quick call. You just
Easier.
say yay, nay. Four people. I mean,
Yeah.
nearly impossible.
It's a
Because
head.
then because you get three out of four, maybe that fourth person feels the pressure of like, like I gotta cancel my Sunday plans, like to make it.
Yeah.
And then that's where you start getting that like kind of resentment and that little creep coming in and it's just like, nah, let's so I think we got a good thing here. A grow, again, this is something we both talked about offline. Developing more skills, so we could be more essential to the team. I know as for me, like I have zero coding skills, zero development skills, zero like advertising or like, any kind of, making, generating images, logos type stuff that can help,
Sure.
build a brand online while we do them. So I wanted to grow those skills. We talked about maybe getting in boot camps or finding some kind of courses, Coursera, some kind of stuff. I think it's worth investing in because it is a skill that once you get it, like you eliminate having to go reach out to that Fiverr person. The Fiverr person might be cheap and affordable, but also you're kind of on the time deadline too. You're on the time crunch of like,
Mhm.
all right, they haven't hit me back up yet, or these three revisions are taking months to get, like so. I rather control that more. So that's something I want to develop for season two. And then again, like I kind of mentioned earlier, the last one I have here is like the slide deck, the pitch. We had some obvious misses. Um, so I mean, those are just the first time bumps. Honestly, like that. I hope to have different problems in season two with the slide deck. Hopefully more in depth, digging stuff, digging deeper on some slides. So, you know, so when we do put it in front of an investor, we are in better shape and we can kind of anticipate those things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I definitely echo some of that. I think I think, one of the positives and also one of the things we can work on is definitely the timing. I had that on mine as well. Like, I thought we did good with what we had. And you're right. It is easier with a smaller group, like once you get to the bigger groups, it's harder to kind of align your days, and kind of and get those all into check. I have this like notion in my head though that like the perfect team is a team of three, because at that point, because I don't know, it's just like this weird thing that I've always had in my I love threes for whatever reason, Anytime that I'm writing out copy or like, yeah, dude, that's my shot, like I can get
Yeah.
mid-range. My mid-range jumper is probably the is crap. My three is crap. You've seen that you played and it's I'll hit one, but at the same time, if you hit one of three and you're just on a pickup game at LA Fitness, all right, but anyways, like,
Yeah.
but I have this thing, of threes where I'm like, if I'm making a point, like I try to have three bullet points in there. I just feel like that's like a stronger thing, And then there's a whole
Beginning, middle,
concept of like
end.
your strongest
Yeah.
point, your weakest point in the middle, and then a strong point at the end, I really like
Yeah.
that. So I do think that like a group of three, I just have like a thing like, man, if we can get to there, we could find like a third element. Cause then at that point, that gives us the ability to like, there's been things that you feel strongly about or I feel strongly about, and maybe another person in there. But if we had like like a quorum thing, like a 2-to-1, right? So as long as you have two people agreeing, hey, because it's an element of trust, right? I trust the shit out of you. We trust the shit out of this person. This person trusts me and you. So by facto of like just like respect and trust, I know that like if I have an idea and it doesn't hit home, that you and the other person feel against that, then I'm like, okay, cool. Like I trust you. Boom. Let's just go to I defer to you on that one, right? And I think that sometimes it's harder to do that when you have two people, just because we both feel strongly, right? But I think if we have like a third there, we could definitely have like a thing to move faster too, and I think that's the point of it, is like moving faster. And I think that three gives you that ability to kind of still move fast, but still kind of like be a small team. And I think once you go to the fours and fives, that's when your team is kind of big. And maybe that makes sense when you're like pulling in revenue, but we're not like generating revenue from this, right? At the moment, right? So it's really harder to have someone, or the more people you have with the less money you're bringing in with what you're doing, I think the harder it is to keep people engaged, for X amount of time. But I think that could be a fun thing to explore in the future, just to kind of have that like that like I don't know, that stool thing, like a tricycle type thing. Also, another one for me, the timing, like I said, it was good, and I think it was for the good and for the bad. I think we're definitely figuring that out. And for me, as we go along in season one, we're still trying to figure it out. But what I'm trying to still, and this is a conversation that we can have later, also, is like, what are we building? Are we building the show, or are we building the product? And maybe it comes when we find the product that we want to build, because I think that's going to change how we're going to view what we're doing now, you know what I'm saying? Like if we're building a show, we probably need to build an audience one way. But if we're building the product, then maybe we build it a whole different way. And it's going to be contingent on the product that we're going to be building. But I think that's a kind of like a bridge you cross when we get there, right? When whether it's C-Task or whether it's, the next things that we're going to do. If it's not C-Task, like getting crisper on like what the thing we are going to build. Because I do think that, for you and for me, we have a finite amount of time. As we see, we're trying to like coordinate days and things like that. Like we only have so much time, in this world, when you think abstractly, but also like in a week, right? That we're trying to do families, work, social life and stuff. So in that time, I'm going to make it a personal goal to be, and this is like what I've been trying to do over the past year, is be more like intentful with my time. And also that extends to this, like when I'm doing the work for this, I want to like really get crisp in my mind of like what I'm building or what we're building here, whether it's the show, whether it's the thing. And I think that's gonna change a little bit as time goes on. But still, the thing that I really enjoyed was like this was all fun for me though. At the same time, and I think that was also the exciting thing for me, is like even though like context switching a little bit as we go on, it was still a lot of fun, and I'm excited for it.
I think in a, I think in a ideal world, we'll be building the show. We'll be building products, and in the background, a show will be being built.
Mm. What do
I
you
think
think is
that's the
first? What
story.
do you think is the first thing to build?
I think the products, because when you build the products, then you get actual tangible things that the audience can have, and then at the same time too, you're getting that social proof, like, oh, these guys, they're doing stuff.
Mm.
Um, and in the background, you have the show to be able to showcase all these different things we're doing. So I think this was a really good call out of the first season, because we hit that wall of like, okay, we're at that part where like we make it now. We can't,
Yeah.
and we can't make it. We can't. That wasn't within our control. So that was something that kind of stayed with me of like, all right. So our next idea needs to be something that we could for sure can make, because it's gonna be a whole different show if there's an actual product.
Yeah.
Maybe episode one is all of the first season, honestly, and then episodes two, three, and four is like the actual usage of it, um, iterations of it, adjustments we're making to it, actual rollouts, customer, interviews, like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Is
I love
is
that you
is
said customer interviews. That was on
Yeah,
my kind of list of like
if we
having
have
that
that.
in a way in there, because I think
Mhm.
that's the part, and I think you hit it on the head there is because it was a little bit more out of the wheelhouse, and I like the idea of like shooting, bro. Like if we're gonna make some, fuck
Yeah,
it, we're gonna do it, let's do it,
yeah,
right? But it made it almost too abstract for me because I
right,
knew with not saying our limitations, but the skill sets that we bring, that piece wasn't one of them. But I still like that we chased it down. And I think that
yeah.
we are at a natural inflection point to where like we could do it or we could not do it. Realistically, we could do it. But it's going to be a little harder because of the limitations of our skill set. Now, are there things like you said we can do to combat that, like a boot camp or something like that? Yeah, bringing on the third person. Maybe they're like a CTO. Maybe they are the tech person. But that takes me to that meme where it's like,
Yeah.
where it was like it's the Stanford business meme where it's
Right. NBA plus
like
the CT plus.
right where it was like, I'll be the business and you make the ad.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's
You
chasing
be the
that
guy with all
goal.
the skills, and I'll tell you what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic.
And maybe there's a world where that makes sense, having like someone who can moonlight as a CTO, as a third, or just somebody who's
Yeah,
technical, or maybe
just
one of us take
pretending
that role on, right?
just pretending there's a chef out there who's like, I'm a badass chef. I just don't know what to cook. Happens all the time.
Yeah, it's a problem that every chef has, right? Every Michelin star
Yeah,
chef
yeah.
is like, yeah, just don't know what to. I
There's so
picture
many things.
Italian,
If anyone,
Mexican, French,
yeah.
Lebanese, and
Yeah.
I'm too
No, I
good.
like that idea of one of us being like the interim CTO, or at
Yeah,
least enough to where if a CTO did come in, they don't feel like, oh, I'm just the CTO. Like I'm just the
yeah,
only guy here. Enough to where it's like, all right, cool. This is something I can talk to Ed or Roger about, because they kind of know, they can give me some good insights versus just like, yeah, just make it. Hurry up. Like,
yeah.
we're behind.
And I am so that boot camp that we were looking at for mobile. I sent that also to Cody as well. Well, when we went
Nice.
to the coffee a couple weeks ago. So I think I'm gonna do that, man. It's like a self-paced course. It looks pretty good. And I think like I
Nice.
don't think you come out of there like as a CTO, but at least like to your point, like understanding things a little bit deeper on that. But then again, that's the long play. Like it's just like a 10-week course. It's gonna take me double that at least. So I'm not it's not something that I'm going to develop tomorrow, but I will give myself more of a timeline to get that done. But it is something I've wanted to do. And I think this, like our current and future use cases can also like be the motivating factor, of that.
End of season one. Appreciate all the listeners. Appreciate everyone that makes it this far. Appreciate you, Roger. Appreciate all the panelists and everyone that's helped us out along the way. Roger, last thoughts.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. I had a lot of fun with season one and looking forward to season two and kind of what